I was watching Peppa Pig recently and noticed that in that world, a giant talking potato, as tall as an elephant, is just walking around. I cannot stop thinking about it. Using math, I found out that if we boiled him, he could feed more characters than even exist in this cartoon series. In this video, I calculated everything very carefully, and at the end, I'll figure out the number of servings. First, we need to calculate Mr. Potato's height. For example, in this image. How do we do that? We can't. There is nothing here to compare him with. But if we fast forward through the episode a little, there are many objects here for comparison. For example, he is slightly shorter than 3 Peppas stacked on top of each other. If we find out Peppa's height, then we can calculate Mr. Potato's height. Once we calculate Mr. Potato's height, we can calculate his volume. And once we know his volume, we can very easily calculate his mass and nutritional value. If you had Googled her height a couple of years ago, Google would have said she was 7 feet tall. That is more than 2 meters. But the official Peppa Pig website says this is false and disinformation. It also says her real height is 3 feet and 9 inches, which equals 114 centimeters. So if we take this frame and remove everyone except Mr. Potato and Peppa, then this distance equals 114 centimeters. And yes, most likely that height includes her ears, since inside the series itself, all the characters measure height including ears.
I'm taller. No, you're not. Yes, I am. You measure to the top of the ears. Oh.
Even when Peppa went to the doctor for a checkup, her height was measured this way. Also, this height matches the episode where there are marks for measuring height. In short, Peppa Pig is the perfect character for measuring objects like a rule. Thanks to her, I calculated that Mr. Potato's height is 313 centimeters. Here's the size of a female African elephant for comparison, or a cat. The cat is so small that you can barely see it. Mr. Potato is so big that purely in theory, some character could fit inside him and control him from the inside. In that case, we can estimate that there are about 100 kilograms of pork inside Mr. Potato, and that this could feed around 300 adult men. I can even imagine who would not mind.
I'm really hungry now.
Okay, never mind. His facial expressions are too complex to consider them as the result of someone controlling him from inside. Besides, a talking potato is not the strangest thing in a universe where there is a flying talking potato. Also, look at this piece of lettuce. It is too small for anyone to fit inside it. This can only be explained by the fact that these are talking vegetables. Let's move on to the calculations. First, we need to make the background more convenient and remove his hat since it is not edible. Next, we need to separate his limbs. This may look unsafe, but in reality, it is extremely dangerous. These limbs look kind of like the roots of a sprouted potato. In general, people do not eat them, and they can be used to grow a new Mr. Potato next year. I am sure Grandpa Pig could do it with his experience. But most likely, this is solid potato, because this berry also has arms and they are not root colored. But even if these particular parts are roots, mice can still eat them, so I will count them as food. So I laid out all the arms, fingers, and feet into one continuous line. Its length came out to 340 centimeters, and its diameter was 8.6 centimeters. Using this simple formula, we get that his limbs weighed 21 kilograms. Not that much. It is about the weight of a beaver. By the way, this is what a beaver would look like next to his body. In general, the shape of his head is roughly like this. To demonstrate the calculations, we will divide him into 3 parts. Do not worry, this is very painful. Here we get a circle and a square. Well, almost. The values will be approximate anyway. Using other simple formulas, we can calculate the volume and mass of these parts. After that, his body mass is a full 5 tons, plus the limbs. That is like 31,000 ordinary potatoes, or like 238 beavers. In real life, this could feed 7,000 adult people very well. That is a lot. Or 13,000 beavers. It does not matter. That is in real life. What about the characters of the Peppa Pig universe? How many of them could he feed? This does not depend on age or gender, because all characters in the cartoon series always have the same portion of food. That makes the task easier. Here, for example, everyone is eating 1 bowl of tomato soup each. Thanks to the fact that Peppa is in the frame, I can easily measure the size of this bowl, and I will not overload you with the calculations. Its volume is 10 liters. Yes, that is like a huge cooking pot. I calculated everything twice. Peppa Pig eats as much food in one meal as 2 adult men eat in a day. That's the same nutritional value as 16 cheeseburgers or 6 kilograms of potatoes. So, Mr. Potato weighs 5,238 kilograms. We divide that by a portion of about 6 kilograms, and we get about 884 characters that can be fed. There simply are not that many in the Peppa universe. So let's look at it another way. If Peppa's family of 4 takes Mr. Potato for themselves, they will have enough food for 2.5 months. I hope it does not come to that. This video took me a lot of time, but the result turned out interesting. Of course, there is a margin of error here. Also, calculating a 2-dimensional cartoon in 3-dimensional space is strange. I will say once again that the video is made for humorous purposes. Nevertheless, if you notice a mistake in the calculations, you can write it in the comments. And if this video gets a lot of likes, I will release several more calculations about some strange things from Peppa Pig. Bye.